A strong message from Carlos Alcaraz's latest rival: "We are tired of Alcaraz. Stay until the end to learn all the details." Arthur Fils was clearly defeated in Doha by the world number 1. The Frenchman had no hesitation in surrendering to Carlos's level after the final and, days later, once again emphasized his enormous superiority. Alcaraz has started 2026 so dominant on court that he seems to have pulled ahead of everyone else on the tour. The Spaniard made history by winning in Australia and becoming the youngest player of all time to capture all 4 Grand Slam titles, an achievement that firmly places him among the biggest names in the sport. After a few well-deserved weeks of rest following his success in Melbourne, Carlitos returned to competition in Doha to play the city's ATP 500 event. Far from relaxing after his recent triumph, the Spaniard maintained an extremely high level and once again proved why he is world number 1, lifting the trophy after defeating Arthur Fils in the final with a commanding 6-2, 6-1 victory in just 50 minutes. The young French prospect had no choice but to acknowledge the Spaniard's superiority. Days after the match, Fils spoke again about Carlos's dominance, placing him far above any other player on the tour. After a final against Alcaraz, when you come out of a match like that, you tell yourself that you need to improve everything. I play good tennis, but at the level he's playing, he's much stronger than us, especially compared to players who are outside the top 10. He has an answer for everything I try to do. Yesterday I felt stuck, without solutions, but it's a good experience to build on, even if it was a bit overwhelming. It was great to play a final and I'll keep it as a valuable experience, Fils admitted in statements to RMC. Alcaraz's dominance at the start of the season has sent a clear message to the rest of the circuit: if anyone wants to dethrone him, they will need to raise their level considerably. For now, the Spaniard looks a step ahead of everyone else. How much money does Alcaraz earn for the title at the ATP 500 in Doha? The player from Murcia pockets a check for $529,945 compared to the $285,095 earned by Fils as the runner-up. Carlos Alcaraz has taken the entire prize in Doha. And that includes a reproduction of the Golden Falcon of the Qatari capital, which is only won outright in case of conquering the tournament 3 years in a row. The player from Murcia adds 500 more ranking points and a check for $529,945, compared to the $285,095 earned by Arthur Fils as runner-up. The Frenchman earns 330 points that bring him closer to the world top 30. Next Monday he will appear at number 33. The money won by Carlitos in Qatar adds to the $2,771,785 he earned in Melbourne, thanks to winning the Australian Open title. 2 tournaments played and 2 won for the phenomenon from El Palmer. Throughout his short career, he is only 22 years old, he has already amassed $63,333,776. The next stop on the calendar for him and the rest of the players is the Indian Wells Masters, March 4th to 15th. Fils surrenders to Alcaraz: "Bastard, you did really well." The Frenchman acknowledged his disappointment with the match played in the final. Arthur Fils could barely put up a fight in the Doha final against Carlos Alcaraz. The Frenchman did not have his day and in 50 minutes was swept aside in the battle for the title by a Spanish player who is in a state of grace. Fils himself had few words after the match and could only surrender to his rival. "Bastard, you played very well. You did a tremendous job, man. It's a joke. Congratulations to you and your team. I wish you many more. Keep it up," the Frenchman said with a laugh, taking it with humor as he could do little else. Beyond the defeat, he wanted to highlight the importance of being back in a final after the ordeal of the last few months with his injury. "I want to thank the crowd. I'm very sorry about the final. I know it wasn't a good show, but thank you very much. It's been 8 long months with my injury. A lot has happened. I guess at a moment like this you just have to think about the 8 months when I was struggling, without playing tennis. I want to thank my team. I'm sorry, guys, today wasn't the day, but I think we did an excellent job," said the Frenchman, understandably affected by the painful defeat. A beautiful message from Alcaraz. Friends on and off the court, Alcaraz wanted to dedicate a heartfelt message to Fils. "Arthur, it's a pleasure to share the court with you. I told you that, more than the results and everything else, I'm very happy to see you back on court. I know you had physical difficulties. You had problems with injuries. I've been through that," said the player from El Palmer at the start of his speech. A lovely gesture from the Spanish player, encouraging him to keep going. Being able to forget it and start again, playing such good tennis. Reaching the final, "I'm very happy to share the court, the locker room and the tournament with you. Great job with your team and your family. Keep it up," he concluded. Carlos Alcaraz keeps adding and adding. The Spaniard remains undefeated this season with a 12-0 record after being crowned champion of the ATP 500 in Doha by sweeping aside Arthur Fils in the final. With this victory, Alcaraz now has 26 ATP titles throughout his career, including 7 Grand Slams. This places him as the second active player with the most titles, behind only Novak Djokovic. One more for Carlitos' collection, as he continues to widen his gap over players of the caliber of Jannik Sinner, Alexander Zverev, Daniil Medvedev or Marin Cilic. So far in 2026 he is the only player on tour who remains undefeated this year. Everything is going perfectly for the world number one, who continues to dominate the ATP rankings with an iron fist. The standings after the ATP 500 in Doha are as follows. Carlitos remains world number one with 13,550 points, holding a 3,250 point lead over Jannik Sinner, who is 10,350 points. After the tournament, the gap between the two titans and the rest is enormous, and also between the Spaniard and the Italian, so Carlitos is already guaranteed starting the clay court swing at the top of the ATP throne. Djokovic occupies third place with 5,280 points, being the first of the mortals, as the points gap becomes more compact with respect to fourth place, held by Zverev with 4,555 points. Lorenzo Musetti remains fifth and Alex de Minaur sixth. The first change comes in seventh place, now taken by the American Taylor Fritz after overtaking the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime, who now occupies 8th position. Ben Shelton is 9th and Alexander Bublik rounds out the top 10. The next Spaniard on the list, after Carlos Alcaraz, is Alejandro Davidovich, 14th, who climbs one spot compared to last week. This week confirms that Carlos Alcaraz is the player in the best form at the moment and that he is miles ahead of the rest, even of Jannik Sinner, who has started the year somewhat inconsistently and has yet to reach a tournament final. I'm in a small slump, but it's not something that worries me. It's normal to go through some difficult moments. I've gone through even tougher ones in the past. I know how to come back. I'm very calm and I'm sure the work will pay off, he confessed when leaving Doha. Alcaraz secures world number one. Thanks to Carlos Alcaraz's strong performances in Melbourne and Doha, the Spaniard secures the world number one ranking until the start of the clay court swing. Not even if Sinner were to win the Sunshine Double, the Masters 1000 events in Indian Wells and Miami, and Alcaraz failed to win a single match, would the difference drop below 100 points, meaning there is no chance for the Italian to reclaim the ATP throne in the coming months. Moreover, in the week when the clay season begins at the Monte Carlo Masters 1000, Carlitos will equal the number of weeks Sinner has spent as world number one, a total of 66. This means the Spaniard will match, and even surpass, one of the few records in which Jannik was ahead of Alcaraz. Now, he already surpasses him in Grand Slam titles, in Masters 1000 titles, in weeks as world number one, and also in their head-to-head record, which currently stands at 10-6 in favor of the Spaniard.